My name is Emily, and I got married right after finishing college. I'm a full-time housewife. I met and started dating Jake during college, and I've always had a good relationship with his parents. The reason I became a housewife is because Jake's parents suggested it. When I first met his parents before our wedding, his dad, Peter, said, "Marriage works best when the husband goes out to earn money, and the wife stays home to take care of the house." His mom, Linda, agreed with him. Jake had already told me they were a bit old-fashioned, and we both decided we were okay with this arrangement before getting married. Have a great day at work, Jake. Thanks, Emily. Every morning, I say goodbye to Jake as he leaves for work, and then I spend the day taking care of the house. Things were fine for a few years, but then a problem came up. One evening, I asked, "Jake, should we go to the doctor to get checked?" We'd been married for years but hadn't been able to have a baby, and I wanted to know why. Jake's parents, who had always been so kind to me, started acting differently. They'd call every week and ask, "Hi, Emily. How are you? Any chance we'll get to meet a grandchild soon?" Their constant questions really bothered me, and Jake knew it, so he agreed to get tested. The next day, we went to the clinic. When the results came back, we got shocking news. Jake was the one with fertility issues. Jake was heartbroken. "It's okay, Jake," I said, trying to comfort him. "I don't mind if we don't have kids. What matters most to me is being happy with you." Deep down, I had always dreamed of having children, but seeing how sad Jake was, I decided to let go of that dream and focus on our life together. "I'm just going to enjoy life with Jake, just the two of us." "Emily, I'm so sorry." "Thank you," Jake said, tears streaming down his face as he hugged me tightly. I felt like our connection had grown even stronger. We decided to start visiting new places and creating as many happy memories as possible. As we walked home hand in hand, it felt like we were back in our honeymoon phase, and I loved it. "I'm so happy to spend the rest of my life with just you, Jake," I said. Jake seemed a bit surprised at first, but quickly smiled and squeezed my hand. "Thanks, Emily. I really believed we'd live happily together, just the two of us, until things started to change." After Jake's infertility diagnosis, I began feeling uneasy. His parents kept calling us, saying harsh things about wanting to become grandparents. Every time they called, I wanted to tell them the truth, but I couldn't. I imagined how devastated Jake would feel, and it held me back. "We'll tell them when the time is right," Jake assured me. "Emily, I'll tell them myself. Just give me a little more time," he said. Since it wasn't my place to share, I endured their constant comments. One day, I got a call from an old friend, Rachel. "Hey, Emily, it's been ages. How are you? I was wondering if you and Jake would like to grab some drinks with me," Rachel said. We hadn't seen Rachel since shortly after our wedding. Feeling like I really needed a break from the stress, I eagerly replied, "Hey, Rachel. It's so good to hear from you. I'm doing okay." "That sounds like a great idea. Let me check with Jake to see if he's free." Jake agreed, and we set a date. When the day came, we had a great time catching up over drinks. I decided to open up about the struggles I'd been facing with Jake's parents. It was a sensitive topic, but Rachel was a close friend, and I trusted her. "Honestly, Rachel, things have been tough lately, but meeting you tonight really helped me unwind." "Oh no, what's been going on?" "Do you want to talk about it?" Rachel asked. I glanced at Jake to make sure he was okay with me sharing, and he gave me a small nod. "Well, the truth is, we can't have children, and we decided to live happily, just the two of us." "But Jake's parents—" "It's actually my fault," Jake interrupted. There was a brief silence before Rachel spoke. "Oh, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm here for you both. You should keep enjoying life together. Travel to fun places, make beautiful memories, and of course, hang out with me again soon." Her kind words lifted a weight off my shoulders. Jake seemed more at ease too. I was so glad we'd shared this with her. After a few more drinks, we said our goodbyes. From that night on, Jake seemed to smile more, and I felt like we were finally beginning to enjoy life again. But I realized it was just me. Jake had been in such a good mood lately, and while that should have made me happy, something felt off. Looking back now, I wish I paid closer attention. One day, Jake came home with Rachel. At first, I thought he'd just run into her and invited her over. "Hey, Rachel, welcome." What a surprise. "Would you like some tea?" Neither of them answered. "What's going on, you two?" I asked, feeling uneasy. Jake finally spoke. "Emily, I'm sorry. I want to be with Rachel. Can we get a divorce? I froze. Before I could process his words, Rachel added, Emily, I'm sorry too. I've been in love with Jake. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mind went blank. They explained everything, how it all started after our night out. Rachel had felt bad for Jake when she learned about his infertility and wanted to support him. I thought Rachel had been a friend, someone who helped me that night, but instead, it turned into my worst nightmare. The love I had for Jake vanished instantly. We had promised to spend the rest of our lives together, just the two of us. How could he betray me like this? Fine, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'll sign the divorce papers. They both looked shocked. What? Are you sure, Emily? Jake asked. Yes, I'll sign them. I'll pack my things and leave, but I need some time to do that. Until then, don't come back here. I don't want to see your face again. Okay, Jake replied hesitantly. I'll stay at my parents' place. Let me know when you're ready. Turning to Rachel, I glared. And you, Rachel? I trusted you. I can't believe you do this to me. I'm sorry, Emily. I know you'll never forgive me, but... Just stop, I cut her off. I don't want to hear it. Get out. Both of you. They left the house, leaving me alone in the silence. I collapsed onto the sofa, trying to make sense of what had just happened. My whole life with Jake had been shattered in an instant. All those years together felt meaningless now. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. But deep down, I knew tears wouldn't fix anything. Regret wouldn't fix anything. How did my life come to this? At some point, I must have fallen asleep because I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Jake's mom, Linda. I figured Jake had already told her everything. I didn't want to answer, but I knew ignoring her would just make things worse. Hi, Linda, I said quietly. Hi, Emily. Jake told me everything. I'm sorry this happened to you, but Rachel will at least give us a chance to have grandchildren. So please go through the divorce process peacefully. I felt my heart drop. Jake hadn't told them he was the one who was infertile. He let them believe it was me. I felt sorry for Linda, but I also felt angry. Oh, okay, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Just pack your things and leave Jake's house soon. Thank you for taking care of him all these years. I know cheating on you was wrong, but please try to forgive him. I wish you the best in your future. Thank you. Goodbye, I said flatly before hanging up. What was wrong with these people? They used to be so kind to me, but now they acted like I didn't matter. Oh right, they never really cared about me. They only cared about getting a grandchild. For a moment, I thought about telling them the truth, that Jake was the one who couldn't have children. But I decided against it. If I told them, I'd probably end up being blamed and feeling even worse. I made up my mind. I wasn't going to bother with Jake or Rachel anymore. Whatever happened to them was no longer my concern. I started packing my things. Since I'd been a full-time housewife, I decided to move back in with my parents until I could find a job. When I told my parents about everything, they simply said, "Come home." I didn't want to stay another moment in the house I had shared with Jake, so I packed up quickly and left. When I arrived, my parents greeted me with warm smiles. I tried not to cry and just said, "I'm home." They didn't ask too many questions about what had happened. Instead, we talked about simple things and enjoyed our time together. My dad was so happy I was back that he drank way too much that night, while my mom smiled at him lovingly. Their kindness touched my heart. Though I didn't say it out loud, I thought to myself, I'm sorry for making you worry. That night, we had a peaceful, happy family dinner. Not long after, the divorce was finalized. Jake and Rachel had to pay me alimony, and I began a new chapter in my life. I quickly got a job, an office job. I was nervous because I had never worked before, but I was lucky to find myself surrounded by kind and supportive coworkers. Slowly, I started to feel more secure in my life. While living with my parents, my broken heart began to heal. They told me I could stay as long as I needed, but after a while, I decided to move out and live on my own. I needed a quiet space to relax and focus on myself. One night, I decided to go out alone for a drink. It had been a busy few months, and the cold beer felt amazing. As I glanced around the bar, I noticed a man drinking alone. There was something about the way he sipped his beer. It made me stop and stare. I didn't know it at the time, but that man would become my future husband. He wasn't particularly handsome, and to be honest, he looked a bit like a potato. He wasn't my type at all. But there was something about him that caught my attention. Maybe I noticed him because I was still nursing my heartbreak. Is there something on my face? He asked, breaking me out of my thoughts. I realized I had been staring at him and made him uncomfortable. Oh, sorry, you just looked so good drinking that beer, I said, feeling embarrassed. He blushed. His name was Brian. He was my age, and we ended up talking for hours. 3, to be exact. Steve would often joke, "Who are you calling potato head?" I'm not a potato head. He knew he looked like a potato head, and he made cynical, funny jokes about it just to make me laugh. His humor helped me get to know him better, and soon we decided to exchange numbers. I shared everything about my past with him. He just listened, gave me kind words, and told me I deserved better. As we messaged and spent more time together, we gradually became more attracted to each other and started dating. After a year of dating, we got married. It surprised me, but I felt good about it. At the same time, I worried that I might make the same mistake again. Whenever I looked worried, Steve would notice and smile at me, saying, "Everything is good. Don't worry." Even my parents liked him. After a while, we had a baby. My parents were over the moon. I had given up on the idea of having a child, but meeting Steve changed everything. We were blessed with a baby, and I was happier than ever. From now on, we'd raise our little one together. One day, a year after having our child, we were out when we ran into Jake, Rachel, and Jake's parents. At first, I tried to walk past them without being noticed, but we were too close to avoid them. "Oh, hello," I said, forcing a smile. Jake, Rachel, and Jake's parents looked at me in shock. "Wait. What? Emily, is that you? With a child? Why? Why is Emily with a child?" I could tell they never expected me to remarry, let alone have a baby. "Oh yes, this is my husband and my child," I said calmly. They all looked stunned. I couldn't help but laugh inside at how shocked they were. Steve, who didn't fully understand the situation, turned to me and asked, "Honey, could you introduce me to these people?" I explained, "Sweetheart, I mentioned Jake and Rachel to you before, and these are his parents, Robert and Julia." Steve quickly pieced things together. "Oh, I see," he said with a grin. "Yes," I replied, knowing exactly where this was going. Jake was the first to break the silence. "Wait, why? I thought you were infertile." I had a feeling he hadn't told them the truth. It was time for me to set the record straight. "What are you talking about? I'm not infertile. Jake is the one who's infertile." Robert and Julia's eyes shot to Jake. "No, Emily is lying." Jake protested. I couldn't help myself. "What are you talking about, Jake? We both got tested together." "Wait, you still haven't told them the results. Rachel, you knew about this too, and didn't say anything to Robert and Julia." Julia shouted, "I can't believe you. How dare you say Jake is infertile? You liar. Rachel's pregnant with Jake's child." I froze. "No way. Rachel, wait, what? Whose child is it?" "Emily, shut up. Don't say things like that," Jake snapped. I could see Rachel's face, and it all clicked. The infidelity was clear. Robert, Julia, Jake, and Rachel all looked pale with shock. Emily, let's go now," Steve said. "I hope you all have a great day. Excuse us." Steve grabbed my hand, and we quickly walked away. The four of them just stood there, awkwardly staring at us. Later, we heard from a mutual friend that Jake and Rachel had a huge fight. I wasn't surprised. Rachel had been cheating on Jake, and the baby wasn't his. Since Robert and Julia didn't know that Jake was infertile, they started blaming Rachel about the baby. She couldn't handle the pressure, so she decided to get pregnant, but not with Jake. Now, Robert and Julia were accusing Rachel of infidelity, and they told her, "If it's a son, we'll take him from you." Rachel, knowing about Jake's infidelity, hired detectives to gather evidence of this cheating. She was now using those photos to fight back and demand compensation. It sparked an ongoing battle between them. Robert and Julia even started calling me, saying, "Because of you, everything is messed up. You should take responsibility, divorce your husband, bring your child, and remarry Jake." I told them, "The number you're dialing is either not in use or turned off. Stop talking nonsense and have a nice day." Then I blocked Julia's new number too. I have no idea what's happening with that family now, and honestly, I don't want to know. All I know is, thank God I got a divorce from Jake. For a moment, I felt bad for Rachel, but then I remembered we're not friends anymore. I only felt sorry for the baby inside her, but knowing Rachel's strong personality, I'm sure she'll make it work somehow. I've stopped thinking about them now. I'm focused on my own happiness. I now have a family that is precious to me. Using that toxic family as a reminder of what not to do, I've promised myself to take good care of my precious family.